Assalamu alaikum. Today we'll be talking about family planning. As you're all aware that family planning is planning the size of the family in a manner which is compatible to the couples, to the individual. Right? That means family planning will not do unless and until the individual, the couples are contented and comfortable with it. If we come to the definition, it is a way of thinking and living that is adapted voluntarily upon the basis of knowledge, attitudes, and responsible decision by individuals and couples in order to promote the health and welfare of the family group and thus contribute effectively to the social development of the country. This definition was given by WHO in the year 1971. So, based on this definition, we can make out that the knowledge regarding family planning is very important. Unless and until a couple has knowledge, he will not adopt the contraceptive methods or the family planning methods. Then there has to be a good and a positive attitude towards such behavior, and the couples and the individuals should take a responsible decision, not only for their welfare, but for the welfare of their children, welfare of the community, and the country as well. These family planning methods are beneficial not only to the mother, not only to the child, not only to the father, but entire family, and again the community and the country as well. How the mother? Because if effective family planning methods are adapted, the women will not end up in any psychological or physiological overburden. The children will be taken care of effectively, the needs can be met, the family can develop, there won't be any socio-economic problems in the family, and the country will develop. The other objectives of this family planning is that it helps the individual, again, and the couples to attain something which they desire for. They can avoid the unwanted pregnancies. They don't want pregnancy, they can avoid them. And once they decide, they plan to have a pregnancy, they can bring about that pregnancy. They can regulate the interval between childbirth and pregnancy. They can control the time at which births occur in relation to the age of the parents and determine the number of children that should be there in the family. What is the necessity or what is the need of family planning? Is it really needed? Does it really matter if people think of this family planning and accept it and adapt such behavior? Indeed, there is, as we are all aware, that there are, we can say natural ways, natural phenomenon, which is there, which is good for the community, for the people, something which the nature has kept. We've all heard why there are so many quotes, there are so many sayings, so many messages which are given in regard to this family planning. Chora kumba, khushal kumba, hum do, hamare do. Ab to kehte hain with time that a couple should not have more than one child. Why is that a couple should not have more than one child? So as to bring about the development, so as to take care of the needs. Now, what are those needs first and foremost? Why is it important to have family planning, to think of these things? First is the demography. So it's well understood that if there is any disturbance in the population, the demographic profile will change. If there are more people more population, there'll be population explosion, which will lead to high growth rate. Already the growth rate of India is very high. India is the second most populous country of the world. Again, if the population will become more and more, the growth rate will tend to become more. First. Number two, when there is more of population, so the density of the population density will increase. That means the number of persons per square kilometer area will increase. For instance, if there is one individual who occupies, say, 10 square kilometer area, for instance, a family or a couple or an individual occupies 1 square kilometer area surface, if there is population explosion, if there's population density, there will be overcrowding and there will be mess. This is witnessed in most of the parts outside India where the square kilometer area is less as compared to the number of people who are present there or the number of their population. Again, if there is more of population, so we expect that the base of the population pyramid will broaden. Why it will broaden? Because there will be more and more children which will get added up to the base, right? Or indirectly we can say that more of dependent population, because again children are dependent. Now if there are more of population, so we expect more of increased life expectancy, increased elderly people, again more of dependent population. Again, there will be a decline in sex ratio. Why there will be a decline in sex ratio? Because there will be choice. People always want to have a male child. There is a male predominance. So female children will decline. And then thinking about the basic needs and the requirements of the family will tend to move towards the urban from the rural area to meet the needs. And then there will be increased urbanization. So that will be one effect if family planning is not taken care of. So better is to go for family planning so that the growth rate is taken care of, literacy is taken care of, life expectancy is taken care of. Then coming to the socio-demographic grounds. So again, if there is a smaller family, what will happen? There will be a low fertility rate, and then the socio-economic conditions will not be affected. Meaning by that is that even if a family belongs to a low middle class family or a lower class family, and then their family is smaller, so what will happen? If they have a small family, it will not have much impact on the socioeconomic conditions of the family. The income will not get affected much, so they will not end up into poverty. So again, if family planning is not taken care of, there'll be more of illiteracy, again more of unemployment, and the children which are a part of that family whose basic needs and requirements are not met, they will end up going into antisocial activities like theft, murder, juvenile delinquency. If you have seen places outside Kashmir where outside so there are areas where people live in slums. Their living conditions are very poor. They have 4 5 children, but the earning hand is just one, and that too the person earns very meager, so they end up in living problems and other basic problems. Then coming to the health conditions, the effect of family planning on health again is fourfold. It's not only on the mother, not only on the child, but also, as I said, on the family per se. Now coming to the mother, we all know that pregnancy is a physiological process. It's a normal physiology. It doesn't cause any harm, but it deteriorates the system of the body, the system of the individual. Hemoglobin levels, calcium levels, iron, everything is declined during pregnancy because the requirements of the child are met through the mother. Now, if the mother bears children at frequent intervals, these physiological parameters which are deranged during the first pregnancy, they are yet to be replenished, and so obviously those parameters will deteriorate further. So that can cause physiological problems and even pathological problems in the mother, which will lead to increased mortality and morbidity. That's why the maternal mortality ratio in developing countries is 10 to 20 times higher than that of the developed countries. Now, if family planning is adapted, the maternal mortality ratio declines and there is an improvement in the health of the mother. Fetal health is also affected. With in advanced age, there are congenital problems that can occur in the fetus. Then children, again, if there are more children in the family, the needs of the children are not met with, their health is not taken care of. So family planning will help in the better health and growth and development of the child. Now, before talking about the methods, these family planning services are available to the all the individuals who are eligible, who are in fact target couples. Then there are people who have unmet needs of contraception. So, who is an eligible couple? An eligible couple is one wherein the woman is in the reproductive age group and is eligible and in need of the family planning services. Now, what is who is a target couple? A target couple is one who has already 2 or 3 living children and they are in need of a family planning method, and they are the priority group. Then there are certain individuals or certain married currently married women who are in need of contraceptive. They want to postpone their childbirth, or they don't want to have another child, but they are not using any contraceptive methods. So these are said to have unmet need of family planning. Right? Now, coming to the family planning methods, there are natural methods, temporary methods, and permanent methods. So what are these natural methods? Natural family planning methods are the methods that are adapted naturally without introduction of any foreign chemical method. Nothing is introduced in the body of the woman or the man, but it's something which is taken care of naturally. Some of the natural family planning methods are rhythm method, based on the calendar time, the period of ovulation, basal body temperature method, ovulation method, coitus interruptus, lactational amenorrhea. Now, coming to the other contraceptive methods. What is a contraceptive method? So, a contraceptive method is one which helps the woman to avoid unwanted pregnancy resulting from the coitus. What should be an ideal contraceptive like? Ideal contraceptive is one which is safe, without much side effects, effective, acceptable, cheap, reliable, long lasting, independent of coitus, and rapidly reversible. Meaning by that whenever a couple wants to have a child, they can stop the contraception and that contraceptive effect will get reversible. Now, there are contraceptives. These contraceptives are basically they are adapted by the people on their choice and needs. A contraceptive method which might be suitable for one group may not be necessarily suitable for another group because of certain cultural background, because of religious beliefs, socioeconomic status. So no single contraceptive is an ideal contraceptive. Ideally, it's not ideal. It's not an ideal contraceptive. It can never be an ideal contraceptive. So then there is a choice, a basket of choices of the contraceptive from where a couple can decide and choose the contraceptive, and that approach is called the cafeteria approach or the cafeteria choice. And that is a choice which is based on the individual preference. You cannot force someone to go for contraception or family planning methods. This is always an individual choice. Now, what are the contraceptive methods? Temporary and terminal or permanent. Now, coming to the temporary methods, The temporary methods are the barrier methods, intrauterine devices, medicated or non-medicated, hormonal methods, and post-conceptional methods. Coming to the temporary methods. The temporary methods, first is the barrier methods, and barrier methods are further of three types: the physical, chemical, and the combined methods. What are these barriers? As the name itself signifies, it's a barrier. It's a barrier between the sperms and the ovum. Something which acts as a barrier between the sperm and the ovum are the barrier methods. Coming to the physical methods, the physical methods include male and female condoms, diaphragm, and cervical cap. Now coming to the male condoms, these are cylindrical shaped, closed at one end. It's worn during the coitus by men. It collects and traps the semen. But it's always better to use these with spermicidal jelly for better efficacy. The non-contraceptive benefits of condoms are: they prevent STDs and AIDS, promote male involvement in fertility regulation. The failure rate is 15 to 20 per 100 woman years of exposure. And this can be, again, like I said, decreased by using a spermicidal jelly in addition to this barrier contraceptive. Then coming to the female condoms called as femidom, it's a sheath made of thin, transparent, soft plastic made of polyurethane. It's closed at smaller end and open at the wider end. It has a small inner and larger outer ring, and effectiveness is similar to that of the male condom that's used only once. The merits are, again, it prevents STDs and AIDS, no apparent side effects, and no allergies. Demerits is it's expensive and it's not that impressive. It's now available in India. It's basically widely used in foreign European countries. Coming to the diaphragm, also called Dutch cap, it's circular, as you can see, dome-shaped piece of rubber cup that covers the cervix. It is again used with spermicide for better efficacy, right? It is again simple, safe, and effective to use. Demerits is that if it is kept longer in the vagina, it may cause toxic shock syndrome, which is caused by a Staphylococcus pyogen. What does it do? It proliferates into the vagina, and then there are manifestations like fever, myalgia, chills, rigors, rashes, dizziness, vomiting, and diarrhea. It's a rare condition, but it can at times become serious as well. The failure rate with these diaphragms is 10 to 20 per 100 women years. Coming to the cervical cap, it is a thimble shaped. Again, it's smaller than diaphragm. It covers the vaginal portion of the cervix. It can be retained in the cervix up to 48 hours. Again, not used in India commonly. Coming to the chemical methods. Chemical methods are the methods which are used, these are the contraceptives that a woman uses, and she places them inside her vagina shortly before the intercourse, also called as spermicides. They consist of a base combined either with nonoxynol 9 or octoxinol. They are surface active agents. They destroy the sperm cell membrane. Either they destroy the cell membrane of the sperm, and they inhibit the oxygen uptake of the sperm and kill them. The various types of cervical methods are foams, suppositories, jellies, firms, and creams. Advantages are they are simple, safe, and inexpensive, but they have demerits like they cause burning sensation, irritation, and they don't confer much protection against the sexually transmitted diseases unlike the barrier contraceptives. Failure rate is 26% within first year of use. Then coming to the intrauterine devices. So what are these intrauterine devices? They are the devices which when placed inside the uterus prevent childbirth by acting as a foreign body. This concept was initially introduced by Arabs when they used to introduce small spherical stone in the womb of the camel, and those camel were used basically for carrying the goods. It was introduced in the bilateral horns of the camel with the concept that they'll carry these stones to for longer distances, but knowingly or unknowingly they acted as contraceptive, right? So they are small, stiff, flexible, non-toxic polyethylene frame incorporated with barium sulfate. Why is it incorporated barium sulfate? Because that makes it radio opaque. So at times when there a woman feels that she is not able to feel the thread, or the copper T must be is misplaced, one can always go for an X-ray, and that barium sulfate will help to locate the uh, IUD in the womb of the woman. It has two strings again made of nylon, which is used to check whether the device is in situ or not, because the thread hangs outside the vagina and a woman can feel the thread for its presence. It can be non-medicated and medicated. Non-medicated are the first generation IUDs and medicated are the second generation and third generation IUDs. Now coming to the first generation IUDs. First generation IUDs, they are inert, non-medicated, as I said, devices. The example is Lipis loop, which is double S shaped, made of polyethylene. They were available in sizes like A, B, C, D, right? But the failure rate was 13 per 100 women years. It's not in use anymore because of the side effects and the higher expulsion rates. Coming to the second generation IUDs. They were developed during 1970s to decrease the complications and the removal rate of the first generation IUDs. It was found that the metallic copper has a higher anti-fertility effect. Now, once this copper was added to this IUDs, it made it possible to develop a smaller and a safer device as compared to the Lipis loop. So it is smaller in size and contains copper. Examples are copper T380S, copper T380A, multi-load devices. Now this number, what is this number? The number indicates the surface area of copper in square millimeter of the wire on the device. All these second generation copper Ts are effective at least for 5 years, but copper T380A gives a protection for 10 years. So how do they act? How do they act is that these IUDs, they are again foreign bodies. So what they do? They induce a non-septic inflammatory change in the endometrium. Coming to the third generation copper Ts. The third generation intrauterine devices. They are medicated T-shaped devices. Similarly, they are incorporated with slow releasing progesterone hormone which prevents pregnancy. The examples are Progesterone, which releases progesterone slowly over 1 year, 65 microgram daily, and it needs yearly replacement. Then coming to LNG, या levonorgestrel 20. This device contains synthetic hormone levonorgestrel. releasing 20 microgram daily, and this is effective for around 3 to 5 years. So if we compare it with the copper devices, they are still better because the side effects are lesser and the expulsion rates is less as compared to the copper devices, that is the second generation IUDs. What is the mode of action? So what do? Like these hormones, they increase the viscosity of cervical mucus. When the viscosity is increased, sperms, it becomes difficult for the sperm to enter the cervix. And then because of the increased progesterone level in the endometrium, the implantation of zygote is not possible. So it becomes unfavorable for the implantation of the zygote. So like every other family planning method, these IUDs also have side effects. And what are those side effects? Amenorrhea, intermenstrual bleeding, that is bleeding in between the cycles. There can be pain, headache, acne. But they are equally advantageous. They are simple to use, they are safe, effective, long acting, they don't interfere with contraception, reversible, and effective as postcoital emergency contraceptive if inserted within 3 to 5 days of unprotected intercourse. And there's a lesser chance of PIDs. And there is a lesser chance that a person will get pregnant. Disadvantages are bleeding, which is again, as I said, intermenstrual bleeding, pelvic inflammatory disease, ectopic pregnancy, though the incidence of ectopic pregnancy is very less. The contraindication of IUCD insertion are the absolute and the relative contraindication. So absolute and contraindications are pregnancy, STDs, any sort of infections of the uterus, obviously, tumors, then congenital defects of the uterus or adnexa. Relative contraindications are anemia, Wilson's disease. Thank you.